Superman movie reviews are popping up all over the place. Like, they're a dime a dozen. They're coming on channels like right-wing channels and channels that don't even do movie reviews. Why is Superman such a big deal, and why do the reviews really not matter at all? First of all, let's point out the fact that this movie is a big deal. It's been a very big deal. One of the main reasons has nothing to do with Superman himself. It's that people have what's called superhero fatigue. But is superhero fatigue actually what the problem is? Is it that people are getting like superheroed out? You know, before the world of superheroes, there was a time when Westerns was everything. Westerns were everywhere. Every new movie that came out was a Western back in the 60s and stuff. And eventually that phased out. But were Westerns the problem? You see, I don't really think that superhero movies is what the issue is. I think that people started jumping on it. It's kind of like YouTube. People start jumping on a train. They start jumping on a trend. And they're like, hey, that's hot. Let's do that. And inevitably, when you start doing that, you're going to get some people that really like hit the mark, you know, really well. And some that, they don't hit the mark. You know what I'm saying? They don't do it very well. And, excuse me, I was sick recently. I really think that superhero fatigue is not what the actual issue is here. I think that the actual issue is that the superhero movies have just stopped being made because of a love of specific superheroes. I think that superhero movies are being made, like let's take the Snyderverse. Those movies were being made to compete with Marvel. If you don't know that and don't believe that, you've been under a rock, and I don't know where that rock is because I haven't been anywhere near it. That was one of the biggest problems with the Snyderverse, and I think Zack Snyder did a good job with what he had, but he was clearly being guided and directed to do certain types of things. He's even said, I believe, that he's really not a big Superman fan, yet he was helming the Superman way, so that kind of tells you something right there. I think it's very, very important for us to realize that when these studios start to say, okay, I want to follow this success or I want to hop on that trend, that's when you can start having some problems happen. When the TV show Smallville came out, it wasn't some big thing to have great superhero TV shows. That wasn't a trend. I mean, were there some? Yeah, there were some that did good. But Smallville started this whole universe of superhero TV shows because Smallville came out and it started with, you know, Mr. Number One back here, Superman, and it was good. Everybody, people loved that show when it first came out. It was hot, and it went on for 10 seasons before people, you know, got sick of not seeing Superman be Superman. And it was just like, it was a new thing. But we're not in the stage of new thing anymore when it comes to superhero movies. So what are we fatigued on? I think we're fatigued on the simple idea of chasing virality, chasing success. The same thing that happens to YouTube videos. You know, like there's all kinds of videos out there in this genre that are just trying to chase the Superman vibe. Yes, I try to chase the Superman vibe, but it's not because of anything except for a passion for Superman, and if you don't believe me, I really don't care. By the way, if you like all this Superman stuff back here and you want to have your own Superman room, I got a link in the description for Superman merch in my Amazon store. Go check it out. There's all sorts of stuff I don't even have in there, so you can get your own unique thing going. But I think that Superman is a big deal, the movie, because not only has it done something, but James Gunn went at this with a passion. He went at it with a passion really for movie making is what he talked about, that it took him back to a time when he was first starting to figure out what movies were, back when Superman set 1978 came out. And to him, that movie was a big deal. And the fact that he used that as inspiration is part of why I think this new movie is having the success it is. Now, if you want to debate the success, that's fine. Superman in the first 10 days already surpassed, I think, the last 5 or 10 superhero movies, I think, that had come out. Something like that. I saw that on John Campea. But it's really incredible what Superman has done because people are sick and tired of chasing the virality, and Superman has been done to death There's even Superman stuff that hasn't come out, like Super Pup back from like the 50s or 60s. I think it was the 60s. And, there's people have tried and tried and tried to wring the, Superman cloth, if you will, dry so that they can get as much money out of it as possible. Now, you could argue that's what's going on here with DC Studios with Superman, but he did what I call a general audience movie, all right? Man of Steel was not a general audience movie. That's why when you go back and look at the original Rotten Tomatoes scores, they were very split, very down the middle back in 2013. The critics was almost 50-50, and I don't remember exactly what the numbers were for the audience score, but it wasn't in the 70s. I think it was in the 60s. And it was just split right down the middle. This movie was made more for a general audience. There's going to be people who love it and people who hate it, but it's not split right down the middle. Right now, Rotten Tomatoes score is at, I think it's 83% critic and 92% audience. These are great scores. Now, financially speaking, it's doing well. Over 400 million in 10 days is great, but it's not going to make $1 billion. I don't really know what number it's going to make. But the question is, why is it that this movie is doing so well? What do they call it? Critical, where the review's doing well, but it's not just doing fantastic financially. People aren't going to the theaters as much. They're not going to the movies as much. They're not going to go see superhero movies as much. They're not having a lot of faith in this kind of stuff at the moment. But I think that this movie is actually restoring faith and hope in people. And the Fantastic Four reviews that are coming out are supposedly pretty good. And I think that's going to be really good to help reboost this genre, hopefully with characters that people aren't just fatigued on. A lot of people were never fatigued on Superman simply because of the fact that his movies didn't do that well in recent years, critically speaking, and financially in some cases. But I really hope that this new generation of Superman comes along and that we remember the reviews, they just don't matter. But I haven't really answered why. I'm going to tell you why. The reviews don't matter for a very important reason. When you go and you see a movie, whether or not Siskel and Ebert like it, that shows you how old I am, whether or not, Tyrone Magnus likes it or John Campea likes it, none of that should matter to you. You use reviews as a guide as to whether or not you should spend your money, and I get that. That's fine. But when eventually you see the movie, whether it be by a friend offering it to you for free or whatever the case is, don't worry about what people have said that you like or dislike. I mean, you may hate the movie, and someone else may like it a lot and be like inviting you because they're like, sure, you're going to like it. The reviews just don't matter. It doesn't matter if what somebody said was good or what somebody said was bad. It doesn't matter if what they said was in favor of your favorite character or against, because you are the one that's going to determine whether or not this Superman movie is worth watching. The only way you can do that is watch it, and I'm not necessarily suggesting you go out and buy a ticket, but there's going to be ways probably that you'll get offered to watch it eventually. And just remember, don't worry about what other people say. It really doesn't matter what they say. I've had people, the majority of people on my channel thought they would like the movie and did, or didn't think they would like it and didn't. There are a couple that flip the other way. They didn't think they'd like it and they did, or they thought they would like it and they didn't, but those are few and far between. For the most part, you know whether or not you like Superman. Just go see the movie if you like Superman. I see no reason if you like Superman to not give it a chance. If you don't like Superman, I see no reason to waste your money on it until you can see it at a free time. A legal free time. I'm not suggesting piracy, of course. But do not let these Superman reviews affect you one way, form, or fashion, because I promise you, it doesn't matter. People are ranking these movies all over the place in all sorts of crazy ways because ultimately nobody can agree on anything. I even did a video the other day where I looked at 17 different Superman movies and looked at the Rap.com's ranking, and it was, guys, that video is a wild ride, I'll just tell you, because I could not figure out where they were coming from, what was going on. It was insane. If you want to see that wild ride, the video is right here.